Welcome to the esynergy podcast, conversations that cut through the hype and get to what works. I'm Grant Ongers, Security Practice Lead, and in each episode, we'll sit down with a business or technology leader to hear their unfiltered story, the lessons hidden in both success and failure, and the practical steps that turn big ideas into real impacts. Today, I'm joined by Mike Jones, CTO at Loveholidays. We'll be exploring how Loveholidays is diving into AI in a rather large way and dig into the real-world decisions, struggles, and breakthroughs that shape their journey. This isn't just about technology or trends. It's about the people behind them, the choices they make, and the insights you can take into your own work. So let's dive in. So Mike, let's start with a forking question. People jump into AI in one of two ways. Organizations jump into AI in one of two ways. Either they're doing an operational change or they're doing an op model change. So are you changing the way that the business works operationally to include more AI in the processes? Or are you changing the operating model completely?
I think the answer to that is yes. We're doing both. We've experimented in different ways, and what we've come up with is essentially a three-pronged strategy for AI. We're thinking about how we build software, so the way that it's changing that we're thinking about how we upskill the entire organization. So whether you're in finance, marketing, or the contact center, how it's changing your job. And then we're taking the learnings from both of those and we're putting it into a third stream of work, which is how we are embedding that into the organization, how we're changing it. So that's kind of the strategy that we've kind of, or the approach that we're taking to our strategy. And to be able to do that, we've had to restructure the business slightly. So we've taken out a couple of the senior leads from the organization and we've put them front and center in that. What we didn't want was like an AI lab on the side. What we want is it embedded in the organization across every team, and it's their responsibility to do that. So to help with that as well, we've also integrated it into our strategy. So we've got three strategic pillars, and how we scale our organization, AI is a front and center in that.
Okay, that's brilliant. So, I mean, operational improvements, let's start with those. They are a thing that everyone's doing. I was talking to somebody from the FCA. Even they are actually using AI to do operational work, which
Amazing.
Very, very scary for me. So you've done several already. Which one of the things do you think you've done that's been the most effective, the most valuable?
Oh, we've done so many across all areas of the business now. But I think it's interesting to maybe go back to where we started, perhaps with some of this AI technology.
Mm-hmm.
So we were, and still are, a really fast-growing business. We were the fastest-growing business in the UK when I joined Loveholidays. 9 months later, COVID hit.
Yeah.
So all those holidays we're selling, unfortunately, we had to kind of roll back and start refunding to our customers. So we were the fastest refunding business in the UK.
Second only to HMRC at the time, I'm sure.
yeah, maybe, probably. So what we ended up doing is like customers would contact us. So it was orders of magnitude more kind of contacts that we were used to because people want their money back. So in a month, we had the same amount of contacts that we used to do in an entire year. And it was something that was like really hard to kind of keep on top of, to keep our head above the kind of the water. Luckily, one of our kind of employees, a friend Eugene, he'd been ripping out all of the contact center systems at that point, and we got to the situation where we could actually start thinking about chatbots. And he came up with that idea, and he implemented Sandy, which is the first. Well, it was the first kind of instance of us using chatbots at Loveholidays. And we were able to kind of very quickly roll out something that not only answered people's queries, like told them where they were in the queue, and basically got us back on our feet from a contact center perspective. It just showed us what was possible from that tool within the contact center. And we've really invested massively in technology in that area, to the point which now Sandy it's got 500 different intents that it can automate or respond to. It automates 60% of all chats that come through and about 20 to 25% of all voice calls. Not only that, it can do it in multiple languages. So it's like 3 or 4 languages across Europe. It can have a conversation with people. And it's not one of those things where it's press 1 for this, press 2 for that. It's actually a natural conversation to get solutions from.
Well, so I think personally that's probably one of the best uses of AI. There's no ways you could have scaled the business for that, right? Because multiple languages, that's a lot of hiring. That's a lot of people that you'd have to bring in. So that's a great way to do it. Is there any intention to expand it further than that?
Yeah, we're still doubling down on it. There's more and more we could put behind it. I think last year, we saved about £3 million in the contact center from that. But the thing that where we're investing now, it's pivoted from a chatbot to basically automate a lot of perhaps the easy things that come through, like the low hanging fruit. It would be, what's my luggage allowance? When's my next payment date? Those sorts of things Sandy can talk you through. You can change your payment date. Those sorts of things. The next level where it's getting more complicated is obviously with the agents. These things, it's a lot harder, and it's things you probably don't want to automate or use a chatbot to answer the queries, where it's a bit more emotional. So what we're doing is we're putting tools into the hands of the agents now as well. So we've built a thing called Agent Aura, which summarizes conversations, like all the conversations that have happened before you called. It'll summarize the conversation afterwards. It'll give you more and more advice throughout the conversation. And this is something that's saving, I think it's estimated to save about another $1.5 million like this year alone on just kind of, that was something that was the team built themselves, like from the technology that we'd implement in the contact center.
I can only imagine it also is a much better user experience for your customers, because now you've had a conversation with the AI, you've had a little back and forth. When you speak to a call center agent, you're not starting fresh. They've got some history in some way that they know what's going on.
Yeah, I get the context. And I think that's what's happened for the entire thing, right? When people call up, they're always a bit wary about talking to an AI. I like the calls that I've listened to. It's, I just want to speak to an agent, and it's okay. What do you want to speak to an agent about? And then ultimately, if it's something like luggage allowance, we can answer that question, and they're like, almost surprised, and then follow up with, we can send you a text message. Do you want a text message? They'll get a text message about their details, and that just doesn't come through. So that basically solve that problem there instantly without having to wait. And it's allowing the people that we have in the organization to solve the more complicated ones. And as you said, now they're getting even more tools and information to be able to focus on really kind of the relationship rather than just like responding to requests.
Yeah, exactly. That the human interaction from a human.
Yeah, it's much better. Yeah, but I suppose that was just the first part of our AI journey. Like that was the early doors, like when we came in just to see the impact of it, and we've actually taken that kind of the ethos and the approach, and we're now kind of rolling out across the rest of the organization.
Okay, cool. So we've talked a little bit about some of the operational changes. What about the op model stuff? So you're changing the operational model of the business to account for AI. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I suppose, as I said, there's the three-pronged strategy. The third part is like the embed. So that's where we're thinking about how we're changing the operating model, and that's like lagging a little bit behind like the other two.
Yeah.
So we're learning from how we're upskilling people. We're learning from how we're building software, and then we're adapting our processes. So that's something. So we've spent about a year on this strategy at the moment. The first kind of organizational change that we made was just like having somebody, or at least two people, leading AI. That was a kind of a real kind of important thing for us. The second thing was, as part of the process, having AI as an objective for the company, like part of the company strategy, integrated into everything. And as I said, it's not a lab on the side; it's fully integrated into the entire business. So the things that we're learning and how we're rolling those things out. So I think it's interesting to take from the example in the contact center, the way that we did it. It wasn't these aren't autonomous like agents that are acting on their own. We've used tools like workflow tools, almost like it's a dialogue flow. It's called within the suite of software that we use. So you can think about it as a tree or a hierarchy of a conversation that you design, and you put LLMs or like the AI within that process rather than giving it free rein. So it's a bit more deterministic than just giving it an autonomous agent. And that's something that we've learned is really useful everywhere. So we're taking those learnings and embedding them into the rest of the organization. So it's about building workflows, building processes, and helping people, training people up on workflow and processes is our current focus. So we're using N8N, which is just one of the many workflow tools you can have. And we're in a process of literally training everybody in our organization into how you can like use workflows to be able to not only automate what you do, but then embed AI in a more systematic way. So I think that's really quite useful.
So organizations have used processes forever to try and make the way we do things repeatable, so that no matter who you're speaking to in whatever area of the business, they're going to be doing things the same way. I think it's kind of important that you're talking about how that's changing the individuals in the business, the people that are actually working in the business. It's absolutely essential for you to have that in order for your AI to not suddenly start offering medical advice instead of travel advice. So I like the fact that you're changing the tools you're using to make AI more useful to your business and to your customers, using the same tools to make staff more useful to your business and to customers. So you're actually improving the business itself in every way.
Yeah, there's definitely a pattern emerging across all of those. I think a lot of that's driven from we don't want to give we don't give AI huge problems to solve. We need to narrow them down to small things where we can not only give it a question, but also evaluate the answer to make sure that it's actually within the bounds of like what we find acceptable, that we
Yeah.
understand. And the larger the questions you give it, obviously the worse the output and the more it kind of hallucinates. So having those workflows where we can break those tasks down to smaller ways to be more like to be able to evaluate the output, that's becoming a pattern that's really emerging. The thing above that then becomes how people's jobs are changing, which is instead of doing that repetitive task, they then manage the system of that repetitive task. An example being where we use AI to write content. So we used to have a small content team of like 3 people. We've got over 50,000 hotels that we sell in package holiday, over 400,000 hotels that we sell for hotel only. So it's like a lot of hotels that we have to generate content for. And if you imagine we want high quality content, that team can only do a fraction of that entire inventory that we have. So what they've been able to do with AI is build a system that actually extracts the content from our providers, which we have many different providers of that same content for the same hotel. Put it through our tone of voice, our brand guidelines, anything that we want, how we want to display the holidays, and actually write a system that generates hotel content. So they've moved from they still know how to write this. They know what good content looks like, but they don't do it anymore. They're using the AI. They've written a system that generates that out. So we've then been able to write content, high quality content for every one of our hotels on our website.
So scaling, basically using the tools to scale, like
using the tools to scale, and as a consequence, people's jobs become you manage the system.
Yeah.
Like, so you manage a system of hotel content the same way you're managing the system of a conversation. You're designing those things like intentionally.
Okay, so there's still human in the loop, but the human is now managing that bigger process, that system.
Yeah, 100%. And again, that's across honestly every area of our business. We're even like, let's take another example where we're optimizing the website. So if you think about our business, we sell lots of different types of holidays. So short haul beach, city breaks, those sorts of things. We sell it to different customer segments. So if you're a couple, if you're a family, if you're a solo traveler, you can find different types of holidays. Your requirements are different, and we do that in 3 different languages.
Yeah.
So if you think about the matrix of possibility of customer cohorts, there's a lot. So when you're coming to look at a hotel, one piece of content, it doesn't really work for every one of those use cases.
Yeah.
If you're a family, you're probably looking at a kids club. If you're a couple, you may be looking at how much alcohol you can get for free, or maybe vice versa, to be honest, if you're taking your kids on holiday. So what we've built is a system behind that that actually generates content, or in this case, highlights for those customer segments. It automatically picks out the things that those customers are looking for. It writes the text, it evaluates the text, and it puts it on the website. So it's a system that's managing the optimization of that entire kind of customer cohort cube that we talk about. So it's these systems are becoming more complicated, but AI is really helping. Well, it's being embedded in all of them, and it's helping us scale, as you said.
So obviously, AI has allowed you to do all this work that you otherwise would have spent much more time, much more effort doing. But are there aspects of Love Holidays' business model that AI, you have to get involved with AI because otherwise it's going to leave you behind? Are there things that AI is actually threatening Love Holiday with, or would have if you weren't so embedded in it?
Well, I think much like technology before and AI, technology, we were able to grow so quickly and outpace our competitors at the rate that we have done because we're really good at technology.
Yeah.
like travel isn't well known for its technology kind of skills, and so being slightly better than everybody else, you can see how the impact of that. Like you can see the impact on. Look at our website. If you use it, it's blazingly fast. It's actually faster than Google search on 2 of the 3 of the web vitals. So we've got like a blazingly fast website that's super high converting, and that's because we've really invested in the technology that underpins it all. So interesting. AI is like a threat to our kind of our model, right? So we want to be able to kind of be at the forefront. So we've always been thinking about how we can integrate AI into our business, and that's why we've been like really investing in the strategy that we have, the people, the leadership, to make sure that the moat between us and our competition continues to grow, that we're able to respond faster. And you can see the speed at which we're able to react now than where we were like even like a year ago is ridiculous. So we make the changes. Obviously, we track the number of changes we make to the website. We do about say 60,000 changes a year. On top of that, though, we've enabled configuration that allows our commercial teams to make similar sort of changes to the experience. They do in the order of like a couple of 100,000 changes a year. AI on top of that is making about 1.1 million changes to our website a year. So you can see like the speed at which we're able to go, the speed at which we're able to adapt is really, really important. So it's a threat to us that if we weren't doing that, somebody else would be moving at that pace. So it's operationally, we've seen that threat, but as a business model as well, there's changes there. So obviously the AI is quite ubiquitous. It affects absolutely everything, which is why it's really hard to kind of respond to it.
Yeah.
But it's changing business models. We're kind of in a fortunate position within package holidays that we're not just a single product. Like people think that AI is going to perhaps disintermediate a lot of those kind of single product experiences that will move straight into ChatGPT. It's a lot harder with something like packages where you're creating a package holiday. To give you kind of an example of the complexity, we process each day now about 20 trillion package combinations to make our website fast.
Yeah.
Which is a crazy big number. And that's not something that where AI can really play. It can use the information that we provided, but it's not going to be able to kind of disintermediate that. Whereas like single hotels, perhaps. So, but we're really aware of how it's changing customer behavior, how it's changing the way that people search, the way that the customers are thinking about holidays. I mean, I do it myself. Like looking for a holiday, my first thing is to kind of chat to Claude or ChatGPT. I'm thinking about going on this date with my family. Let me know what are my options? Yeah, what are my options? Like those sorts of things. So it's changing the way, but we're at the moment we're really investing in being at the forefront of that. We're trying to partner with as much as possible. Like Google have been really kind of an important part of our journey from a technology perspective, and now also from an AI perspective. So really working with them, but building relationships with like ChatGPT and Anthropic is also like really at the forefront of our mind as well.
Okay, yeah. So we talked a little bit about AI searching and how that is impacting could impact Loveholidays. Do you think that's going to affect other businesses? Are there other models out there that you're concerned for? If you were the CTO at a company doing X, you'd definitely be doing the same things you're doing at Loveholidays now because...
I think there's a lot of businesses where if it's just, yes, that it would impact. Am I worried about? Well, I suppose as a consumer, I'm quite happy.
Yeah.
So it's making my life a bit easier, but I don't need to worry about their business. But I think in the case that of something like holidays, where you're thinking about just single products, if you're just selling one thing and you're kind of a single trick, it's going to be quite difficult to have some benefit that's not just basically showing up in a ChatGPT like selling widgets on their website. So I'd be worried more if it was just a single product rather than something that's a bit more complex.
Yeah. Now, I'm the security guy at esynergy, so I have to ask you a couple of security questions around AI. So what are the biggest security or safety concerns that you have around AI usage at Loveholidays? There's
a couple, I suppose. The one is just keeping our customers' data safe. Like as I mentioned, we use N8N. They had quite a serious incident like recently. And if we'd been putting all of our kind of personal information into those workflows, all of a sudden, like we're exposed in a different way. So that's a concern, just like how we're making sure that everybody's aware and our systems are set up in such a way that we're not exposing our customers to any risk. I think that's one area that we're kind of really, really interesting. And that's across all those areas. Putting that information into LLMs, training people on those sorts of side of it. So we're locking everything down from that perspective. Another area at the other end of the spectrum, obviously that's just changing quite a lot, is just the attacks on the business. So I was chatting recently to Google about the way that the world's changing with AI, including how hackers and or people with nefarious intent are using AI as well. There's a whole dark web tool suite of AI that can help you build software, build viruses, maintain those things, attack websites, but also they're using it increasingly as the more kind of sophisticated interpersonal attacks. So you can use it to kind of the better kind of communication with people rather than the broken English that you would get. You can have
terrible phishing emails,
yeah, they're kind of becoming increasingly sophisticated. So we're working with partners that help us really elevate our thinking in that area and providing us the tools to keep on top of it. So it's definitely front of mind. It's something that we're all like really concerned about. We don't want to be one of those companies that you see on the front page of a newspaper or a website. So just keep us awake. But we've got some really awesome people in the organization that are on top of that. So it's a real specialist skill. It's something that you have to hire in. It's something that you need to put a lot of focus on and make sure is embedded across the rest of the organization.
Well, I love the fact. I mean, the answers I get to that question quite often are the data. We're worried about the customer data we might be putting into an LLM. But I do love the fact that you're concerned about how your customers could be affected by these attacks, and using your name, but still it's your customers that you're concerned about.
Yeah,
so the safety side is good.
Yeah, we use a tool called Zero Fox for a while because something like holidays, people try and dupe people online. The customers that are falling foul of these things are not because of the things that we've done. It's because of the activity that happens on the internet. These companies will post, they'll bid on various different key terms on Google. They'll pretend to be Loveholidays. They'll set up a fake website and they'll take them. And we're really on top of that as well. We're not only looking at ourselves as an organization. We're looking at the broader threat landscape for our customers, and we're keeping on top of that. We're taking down hundreds of websites a year, hundreds of external things, trying to work with X, but they don't respond as quick. But Facebook, those are the areas we can actually take things down a lot quicker. We can try and make our customers aware.
Okay. Briefly, I saw a comment of yours on LinkedIn recently, and when you and I had the first conversation, we talked about how sometimes AI might lead you down the garden path and tell you things that are not entirely accurate. You did allude to it on your LinkedIn post. Do you want to talk a little bit about what it was that AI told you?
Yeah, I think it's a good point for a confession. LinkedIn is one way of doing it. I suppose I need to do it in person. So I think I'm always talking about Loveholidays, about the great work that we do. Looking for stories or kind of analogies of to make the things that we do real, because technology itself is a bit boring. So trying to kind of link it to things. So in the example I gave before, where we're processing 20 trillion package combinations a day, which is a massive number. It's really hard to reason about. But if you roll that up to an entire year, this is 7 quadrillion different packages that we process. So that's just a number. You can see the number of digits after the thing, but it doesn't kind of.
It's too big for you to think about. You can't reason it. Yeah.
So I asked Claude. So I think it was Claude 3 point something. I can't remember. One of the early versions of Claude. So here's a number. I'm working in travel. Give me something that this is comparable to. And after a back and forth, what it gave me was that it was equivalent to the number of grains of sand on all the beaches in all the world, which I thought was brilliant, right?
It
So
is
it's,
brilliant.
so it's not that it was very clear. It wasn't all of the sand in the world.
Yeah.
It was just the beaches in the world. And I'm like,
Ties in nicely to holidays,
exactly.
beach time.
I've been repeating this to everybody. I stuck it on LinkedIn, in like presentations to investors, to board members, to like internal presentation. I've been repeating this kind of thing. Claude updated, the model updated, and I just checked this fact, and it was like, no, that's miles out. That's orders of magnitude out. It's probably about one beach. So I'd been repeating this fact for about a year, which was instead of every beach was just a a single beach. To be fair, it would be equivalent to the biggest beach in the UK, which is down on the south coast. It's about 7 miles, so it's like this kind of sandbanksy strip thing, and it's about 30 centimeters of sand, not all the sand.
So not all the way to the Earth's core.
No, not that deep. But like honestly, it was embarrassing. But I think it was somebody who thinks they're kind of a fay with AI, who's using it. I fell for it like hook, line, and sinker. And to be fair, everybody else did. It just felt like it was in the appropriate ballpark because I didn't really understand it. I didn't validate it enough. I was sold on the imagery and just wanted to.
I mean, the problem is the number is too big to actually perceive. So because it is so big, it could be all the beaches. Who would know? And you probably would never have found out if Claude hadn't updated and decided to give you a different answer.
Exactly. But I think this is it was a good learning for me.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other things that we've done at Loveholidays that I haven't really talked about, which I think is honestly game changing in terms of data and AI, is that we've been building a data mesh for 6 years, almost. And on top of that, recently, because we have this structured data, we've been able to build an MCP server on top of it to query our data. So now we have that integrated into Claude. So we can now ask Claude any question about any part of our business. And so we've been tracking, honestly, like data from how you feel about working Loveholidays to every impression of every price of every impression that we make from our search engine. It's all in our kind of data. So we can ask any question about our business. And we're using it more and more to kind of reason about and to respond to and to find areas of bugs. But I think it's given me just pause for thought, where so you can't like trust everything that comes out of it. You do have to validate it. That kind of eval is really important. The breaking down the tasks into smaller things, so you can actually see and understand the output has been really, really important.
I was just going to say the process description that you gave earlier, where you break things down into much smaller parts for an AI to deal with, that makes it a little bit. The numbers don't get so big. It can't go off the rails as far.
No, and honestly, that's the pattern again. Another pattern that's replicating. Yeah. So we're that same data products with the data mesh on top of it. We're putting all of the data about how we're evolving our kind of code into there as well. We've got 6 years of deployment data. We've been tracking DORA metrics for that entire time. We've now added into that code health from a company called CodeScene, so we can actually track the health of the code bases at an aggregate level or for each of those different repositories. And what we're seeing is like how how we use AI and how it impacts our kind of engineering culture and our engineering processes. So, but again, we have to break it down into tasks. What we're not doing is we're not asking it to solve all the problems. The first thing we'll do is like, here's the code base. What are the steps you would take to break that down? They then like break it down into steps. We then implement it, but we've got like the checks and balances in place to be able to actually understand its impact.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mike, for sharing your story and your insights.
No problem.
It's been very good to talk about the challenges. AI is this thing that is going to be a conversation topic for a long time, and I love how Loveholidays is getting ahead of that curve. Before we wrap up, we like to end each episode with a simple but powerful question. In one sentence, what is the one piece of technology advice you wish that every business leader understood sooner?
It's a really difficult question to limit it down to one thing, but I think I would say we've got 5 principles by which we've evolved our business from a technology perspective. And one of my favorite ones is leave things better than you found them.
Thank you very much, Mike. That's perfect.
Okay, thank you.